Thank you for showing up. Thank you for being present, and I hope whatever that I will share with you, you'll be able to unlearn to learn, right? I actually, when I was asked by Sam to prepare something, I wasn't sure. Most of you have this book, right? No, yes? No? Okay, Sam has to sort you out, but if he hasn't, we can actually provide with some copies, but we are selling them, we are not giving them away. No more free stuff, Sam. So what I thought that I will pose a question first from you. What do you intend to achieve by staying here until this time, especially when it relates to finance and money? And then I will then share what I thought I would love to share with you. Is that okay? So I will ask the question and I will make some notes so that I don't forget of what are the things that you would love me to actually include. I've been doing this for too long, so I can't be able to kind of give you the executive summary of an executive summary. And then with an aim that should you need more, then we can work out a plan for you to be able to hear more. Is that okay? Yeah. We all struggle with money, right? Yes. Am I the only one who has an issue here? Where the bank account does not talk to the effort and waking up so early, and 3 years, 5 years down the line, you still cannot see it, right? So that is what I try to assist you with. So if you have any questions, I will start from oh, okay, gentlemen. Is there someone who's...
I was still observing. Now it's time to know. The question speaks to pricing, especially in your and so the question speaks a lot to pricing. I don't know if you can still hear me.
I'm with you. Please don't mind me. No. Just continue.
Okay, thank you. So pricing, for me, I found to be a challenge, especially when you're selling a service. It's very difficult to be able to know what to price and what other companies are pricing. Besides, I know that you can call your so-called competitors or collaborators and find out their pricing structure and then price us somewhere along there. But I think how do we address pricing a service, especially as a startup? You just maybe you quit your job and you're not really that confident in the service, but you want to do it, and how do you address pricing?
Thank you. Isn't that a great question? Yes. Great. Who else? I will take everyone's question and list them down, then I will go through them all at once because they generally are interrelated. Yes, ma'am.
My question is around managing my cash flow. I'm constantly managing. Every month stressing out, who am I paying this month, who am I not paying? That's my biggest issue right now in my business.
Okay, thank you for sharing. There was a hand there, yes. Hi.
It's costing in general.
It's costing.
Because what I've realized isn't costing. But when it comes to costing, I think we better than it.
Okay, noted. Thank you so much. Who else?
Hello. The problem that I tend to be having is to find the way of calculating what I can say, to calculate the salary of the people that I'm working with.
The employees?
Yes, both the employees and the directors of the company. Because when you are starting, you start with the aim that the company has to grow first, and then you start getting money out of it. But now, when the money is flowing in, how do you determine which one gets how much and which one gets lesser than the other? Because that's where the problem in the jealousy starts.
Okay, thank you. Is anyone else or should I go? Okay.
I've got a question in terms of I'm from a technical background. So when you're setting up a business, you necessarily be required to come up with a business model, a financial business model that actually works for people from the technical industry. And so you managing the technical side with the financial side, it gets a bit very difficult for modeling your business on the financial side if you can get assistance from that.
So business model versus what needs to be done within admin. Okay, I hope I'm going to be able to answer it. I might actually ask more questions. Okay, so let's start with the first one. Oh, there's more. Okay.
My question was actually on the remuneration part, because I wanted to ask, how do you actually remunerate yourself as an entrepreneur without cleaning up the bank balance?
That's a nice way of it. Cleaning up the bank balance. Okay.
So yeah, a separation of your expenses then.
So is it okay if that part are included here?
Yes.
Okay, because it's still part of directors. Can I stop there and then we're gonna, there's one more. Okay, one more. There should be the rest.
Mine is about paying customers, because at the end of the day, you have to run a business that has customers that need to bring you the money to be able to pay yourself, pay the directors, pay the employees.
But what do you mean paying the customers?
So if you have a business that you set up, how do you make sure that year in, year out, month in, month out, you've got paying customers based on your business?
Oh, you have paying customers. Oh, okay. Oh, don't we all struggle with that one? Okay. Paying customers on a regular basis. Okay. Okay. I'm just gonna stop. Can I get rid of this?
No.
Can you hear me without it? You can't? Oh, okay. I can't talk with my hands. Okay, I'm gonna try. So let's start with the first thing that he asked about pricing. Ah, perfect. That's way better. So I'm not gonna talk for now. I'm just gonna solve this while I'm trying to get my head on it. Education failed me was that what I experienced as an entrepreneur was totally different than what is sitting on the books. So I am going to tell you whatever that I'm going to talk about today is going to be stuff that I found to have worked, not the stuff that I learned on the books. Is that okay? Yes. So you cannot then go back and say, please just prove it. All I'm saying, I'm only going to tell you what has worked. First of all, price is not cost plus margin. That's bull. There is no such thing in the market. Price is a perceived value by the customer that you are offering the product or service to. That's what price is. The challenge that we have as startup, we generally do not have a customer insight that tells us what is that person willing to pay for what you are offering. That's your biggest challenge. But you can limit the risk by doing several things, of which I will touch on here. So principle number one, price is not cost plus margin. Price is a perceived value by the customer who's actually receiving that value, who's actually receiving that service that you're actually offering. So because you generally do not have that insight with the customer, you have to do some groundwork before you begin to offer and ask the customer or offer your price or your services. You're going to have to be very clear as to what is it that this customer actually wants. And I mean, it's as basic as that. Want by you doing something which we call it customer profile. Ooh, this doesn't work. Customer profile. So a customer profile Please bear my spelling here. A customer profile help you to segment things like demographics, what that occupation, that person, what decision, are they users or are they decision makers? But you began to understand who that person is who makes the decisions around what you are offering. What I also have found is that to find most of the detailed information, especially if you're offering business to business, is rather very difficult because it gets complex, where you will find that the person who's the user is not the same person as a procurement manager, and the procurement manager is not the same person who's also a decision maker within. So you can find different types of customer profiles to actually build up, especially if you're doing a business to business. The best way of approaching it, approach it from a person who's the user. So when you're doing your first customer profile, focus on the user. What is the user's needs are? Why will they buy from me? Why will they actually, what is their pain and pleasure? What pleasure will they have when they have experienced my products and services? What pain will they have if they don't take my solution? What are the alternatives? And in those alternatives, what price do they have to pay for those alternatives? Because an alternative is something like, instead of drinking a juice, you will drink water. That's your alternative. You still deal with thirst, it's just that it's different consumption. So by you having that understanding, you then begin to say, in the market, this alternative product, how much are they being charged? Who's charging them and who's offering them? Now, I also believe that we skip this customer understanding because we're rushing for money. We have a tendency of just throwing the net into the sea, hoping we're gonna find trout. Those who understand fish, they will know you'll never find trout in the sea. At best, you'll find the little sardines. A trout, you can only find it where? In a dam that is still, that doesn't move. But it's still a fish. So you have to start looking at the solution that you are providing based on the problem. What problem am I solving? What's the tangible value does the customer get from me? And if they ignore this value, what will happen? What's the worst that could happen? We don't take enough time to analyze that. And we end up missing an opportunity to be able to, then when we now have to do an offer, we fail to do what? The value. The customer does not see the value because we have not articulated it. Does that make sense? So it sounds like it's quite a lot of theory, right? Whereas I said to you, I'm actually going to move away from a theory, but this is the only way I have found to be able for me to then offer what is it that I'm actually doing. One of the lessons also that I learned in that process, I also realized that you have to somehow educate the customers, especially those who are coming from technical environment, in understanding what your product is about. I struggle with this one quite a bit because you see, when I was offering my products and services to entrepreneurs like yourself, I was actually broke. The entrepreneurs cannot afford my rate per hour. They cannot even understand what is they need to. So each time when I'm sitting with the entrepreneur explaining financial statements, they are probably saying, so what? You know, and I understand because generally this is not what we are taught. Even in the business schools, finance is still taught in isolation, it's not integrated. But now when you're running a business, you're going to have to integrate everything in your head as to how it fits to one another. So I realized that the biggest mistake that I made on the first 3 years was offering my products and services to people that were unconscious, incompetent. They didn't even know themselves what they don't know for them to fix the problems that they have. Avoid selecting a customer that is too far off from buying decisions. So you're gonna have to have a way of building your something which is called a sales funnel. That's gonna help you to nurture people through something. It looks like this, and what you will do is you will enter several potential customers doing certain things, like especially in professional services. You could be offering certain things for free. It could be a webinar, a guide, a checklist, or whatever that you are offering on the space that you are in. But you are able to nurture them and offer them, for example, maybe a small thing where you are offering an event, maybe it's 100 Rand or 150. And then you can offer them something else up to the point where you have nurtured them enough for them to pay 20,000 K. So it's about you understanding that customer and knowing where are they on my funnel and what communication do I create to make sure that that customer profile is actually able at some day to actually pay what I'm actually looking for. Especially in professional services, you're gonna have to add a huge value and investment at the beginning. But let me say this, if you have served them, if your approach was about serving other people, solving their problem, it will come through. You will retain the client as a retainer, which then talks to the question she was asked, how do you make sure that you consistently have retaining and paying customers? You do that by making sure that you do not offer a person, for example, in my case, a course of 8,500 without first having offered them something to show that I can solve the problem. I'm actually going to be able to add a value. So that is how you're going to build pricing. So let me say, what are the tactics that you can use to actually figure out what's the price? Okay, so first of all, when you're doing it with business to business, it will be a different tactic as when you're doing it business to customer. On business to customer, you will run customer surveys. You will create a customer survey that will ask questions relating to the solution that you are providing. And at the end, you will say to the customer in relation to the price, how much are you willing to pay for this, for solving this problem or this solution? You ask straight up. Once you have done that, you pull up and come out with your typical customer, and that's the only person you will go and do what the customer profile on. You don't do a customer profile on a customer that is not your typical customer that's going to pay the price you are looking for. The other thing for those who are doing products, specific products, when you are starting as an entrepreneur, you're the one who determines what your product value should be. Most entrepreneurs, they let the market determine what your worth and your value is. Guess what? You've already lost. When you don't know your value, the market will not be able to tell you what's your value and your worth. So when you are building that up and you are not sure yet, the best way again with that is to actually choose. It's almost like, you know, when you go to Clicks and there's Revlon, L'Oreal, and there's Black Like Me. You ask yourself, where is my brand fitting in that? Do I want to be L'Oreal, or do I want to be Dark and Lovely or Black Like Me? And what price range is L'Oreal product? Because that means it's at the high end. But again, it's targeting a specific LSM. Again, entrepreneurs are not educating themselves enough even to understand which LSM they're actually operating in. With the point that another client of mine was doing so well in this coffee shop that he was selling on the street at Alexandra, and he wanted to open a new shopping center. But then when I started saying to him, yes, the business might have done well when you're in Alexandra, something at the back. In Sentin, they're going to want now a special cup that is written cappuccino banban. There's a whole list of requirements for you to be able to make it. Rent at 3 months. I mean, there's a whole list. Understanding your customer profile all helps you to know at what value is that person willing to accept or not accept. And if we don't know, by the way, it's the same water, it's 5 kilometers away from each other, but by not understanding who the customer is in relation to how my business will actually operate in that is an indication that we make decisions that are emotional without analyzing what does that customer need and want. And what I usually say also, when you don't know my pain and pleasure when you are selling to me, you will never sell me a thing. Until I understand what's your pain and pleasure, then I'll be able to offer what I'm offering. Okay, let's go back to another question. Is there a follow-up on the pricing?
So you did business to customer. What about business to business? What do you do? Business to customer survey. When you speak now to procurement managers and speaking to people that are within other businesses, how do you approach them?
Okay, so you will approach the same approach. Remember, when you're offering whatever that you're offering to business, you have to offer it in a perspective of the user. Find out within that organization who's the user of that product or services that you're actually offering. And when you go to secure an appointment, don't go there to sell. Go there to say, I would just like to find out in a perspective, so what business are you in?
Technology.
That's
Sorry,
just
I
me laughing.
There's a company called Freshworks. I'm a reseller for their products. They use customer relationship management software.
So it's a CRM system.
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay. A CRM system, does everyone know what a CRM system is here? I see some heads. Okay. A customer relationship management system is a system that is able to retain data and information about the customers so that you can actually have a better view of what is the behavior and the things that activity of the customer does. Depending on the type of the CRM system, there is a wide range of them. So if, let's just say, I am the one who's selling it to business, I will then ask, in this organization, who's responsible for a CRM system? It's more likely to be a business development executive director, somehow linked to marketing and somehow having some sort of a sales.
In my case, it would be the CIO because it's specifically for IT, the IT systems in the company.
Perfect. So if it's a CRM that is used internally, is that what you are saying, not customers?
It's got internal and customer.
Okay. So I can't give them that. That's just too complex for them because I need to simplify it. So let's take it as an external, right? So that it's also applied to you. So what I will then do will be saying, can I schedule up an appointment with the CIO or whoever who's responsible for a CRM? And I will just pose question. What technologies are you looking at? What are your challenges in the industry? I've seen in this magazine, they were indicating there's robotics that are coming through, the AI. So what investment do you intend to have? And so on. So I will engage with that person at a strategic level, not at the operational level. It's only when that person has had my view, and even those views, I will not be telling them what I think. I'll be just prompting the questions like I'm just asking now, not actually telling, just asking, what are your views? Where are you going with that? What investment do you intend to have in the next 5 years? Who are your current service providers? You find that sometimes they don't tell you, sometimes they do tell you. And where they feel they can't tell you, that's okay. I just wanted to collect some information. I'm a startup. The only thing I'm just trying to figure out, how does this industry, and you're one of the people that I believe can give me an informed decision. They probably feel a little bit, So the aim for you is to create a rapport so that you can identify certain views which will then inform you on how you're going to proceed the next step. You could then ask them, you know what, I've got few of what you will ask further and say, what challenges are you currently having and how do those challenges impact your strategic objectives and the output? That's it. I promise you, the moment you have an open-ended question like that, the person who understands their job will just pour the information. You will then select that information and go back to your solution and see, can my solution provide a solution to him? If you don't stress about it. go and look for the solution for him, not the one that we're already offering. For him, there is a huge customization when it comes to what? To the business to business. There is no more generic as compared when you're doing a business to customers. So you then have to customize your products and service to the problems he has raised. And I promise you, even if it doesn't sign you up, you will always be on top of his mind when he thinks about talking to someone with ideas and stuff. And again, figure out a way for you to have some sort of a newsletter that will allow you to be continuously be in contact with him or them in your CRM system again that can help so that you build that relationship with that potential customers. The aim is not to sell, the aim is to solve the problem. Okay, can I move on to the next one? So, I know some of you are saying, okay, that addresses the professional services, but it also addresses the product. Remember about my example about L'Oreal, Black Like Me, and that's the same thing. The only challenge we need to make sure as entrepreneurs is that if I've chosen that my product is going to be in the range of L'Oreal, is my positioning in the market fit the product that I've designed? What I have picked up, we tend to overdo the product quality without making sure the positioning is the same. There's a mismatch within your cover of how the high-end product needs to look versus a low-end product. And if you don't understand that positioning, you've already lost the customer before they actually come and buy from you. So choose the market based on the quality and what you are claiming your products and services can do. Choose which market it is and start analyzing that market and knowing the information, especially if you are in fast-moving goods and so on. There's huge competition. They will take you out so fast before you even close that deal with the retailers. So you have to be very clear what are your claims are and what's your basis for your claims. Let's talk about cash flow. Don't we all can identify with this man cash flow, eh? Or maybe not identify with them because it's never there. The challenge with cash flow is not because of cash flow. The problem with cash flow is because we fail to determine what is our working capital. And working capital is the money that we are using that circulate from customer to the supplier, to ourselves, customer, supply. That money that circulates, we're actually unable to determine it. So let me try to break it down if I can. And bear with me, and I know I was supposed to take what, 45 minutes? Just tell me when I'm off my time. Okay, so I am saying if you can determine what your working capital is, you should never have a problem in cash flow. At least you should be able to anticipate it. What is cash flow? A cash flow is determined by customer terms and conditions, and also what? Supplier terms and conditions. What I have found is that most entrepreneurs, they pay by cash here and credit on the other side. So here is cash and here is credit. Do you see that I've already got a problem? So let's then go back to the basics. When you're saying I'm having a cash flow problem, your problem is you're not matching your terms and conditions with your customer in relation to your suppliers. As a result, you're sitting here with more than 90 days of some sort, but here you are paying cash. And the reason why most entrepreneurs are paying cash on their products and services is because today utengeka Pick and Pay, kusasa eka Macro, the other day, whoever whom is closest to you at that time when you need your services. That is wrong. You also don't know what are your top 5 expenses. Because you don't know what are your top 5 expenses, you then do not even know who are your regular suppliers. Let me say this, having worked in corporate and big business, they never buy anything for cash. But yet you don't have money, you buy for cash. What you need to do is to establish your top 5 expenses by just looking at your income statement or your normal expenditures and convert them to be what? Credit. If you have a low credit score, work on it with an aim of improving and talk to your creditors to make arrangements. Don't run away. The other part here with your customers, if you are selling for credit, have terms and conditions that are enforceable that will allow you to hand over the customers that are not paying you. To a point that if you have closed all the loops of systems and control, you should actually even be able to buy an insurance that if that customer does not pay, you recover your money anyway. Most of you offer credit without screening you don't even screen the direct, let alone the business. You are offering a business that is actually bankrupt, but you are offering them for credit. As a result, you end up not recovering your money. You should also be thinking about, if it's the first time I'm working with a customer, can't I at least get a deposit? Can't I at least make an arrangement of saying that as I'm delivering what I need to deliver, they pay in portions on the outcome? So cash flow is not a problem. What's the problem? You don't know what's your working capital. The money that moves between your customer and your suppliers, because the only person in there is your bank account. And your bank account is the cash flow problem one, right? I don't know if, do I need to simplify it further? Does anyone think, does this make sense? Because I want to move to the next. I have lots of time. So, step 1 on working on this, I said, what are you going to do? Identify your top 5 expenses. From the top 5 expenses, figure out a way of negotiating a credit application. If you're having a problem with your credit score, go to the people that have listed you and make arrangement to pay them back so that you clean up your credit score. If all fail, figure out if you can't go to your banker to give you some sort of a bank overdraft. But the aim I'm trying to tell you is that this cannot work. It doesn't work for big corporate. It will never work for you either as a small business. You have to procure things for credit, not cash. And you have to stop buying ad hoc. Spend as you see fit. It has to be planned. And that is how you will know with your top 5 expenses. Any follow-up question? No? Okay, good, you're quiet. Okay, the next question that was asked was costing, including salaries and employees. Okay. So this one on costing, I personally have found that the problem is not costing. The problem, we are unconscious with our spending. Cheers. Half of you are here, but if I were to check your notes, you didn't record the kilometers. You don't know how much you have spent to date in this month. There goes the money to SARS. The accountant comes in, try to reconcile. You have already even forgotten what exactly was I spending the money on. We are not keeping the records because there's no accountability. I need some direct and shareholders. There's no accountability whatsoever. So you do as you please. That's your biggest weakness. You are not accountable to anybody. Whether you have done it or not done it, and you wonder why you are failing so bad. You're going to have to be accountable to yourself and account for your transactions, account for your time, and make sure you deliver on what you have actually promised. So most of us, we leave work, right, to say, I'm going to work full time. Yeah? When you're working for someone, you will start exactly at 8, but when you're running a small business, you can start at 10, you can start at 11. When you don't feel so good, not wake up. It's the same accountability I'm trying to talk about. Because if you're working for someone, you will have never done that. So, but you do it because it's all this kind of, it's almost like you have treated a business, even if it was registered business, as though it's a sole proprietor. There's no separation of private money and business money. It's not your money. It's only your money when it's actually due to you. Which then goes to how do you pay directors and shareholders as a business. So let's start with employees. Employees is easy. The best way of doing it is to check what are there's lots of stars that get released. I think Deloitte and Touche used to do them on salary brackets. So you can take a person's job description and salary and you can map it back as to, in a market, what will be the price on this person. You can then negotiate with that employee on saying that currently the market salary is this, but this is what I'm willing to offer you. And if this is what I'm willing to offer you, should we come to this point, we can then be able to do what? To pay you whatever amount that you guys agreed on. The point I'm trying to raise is that you have to know what the market-related price is. When you don't know what the market-related price is, you are more likely to overpay or underpay the customers. Oh, sorry. I can still hear myself, no wonder. Okay. Oh, Lord. Okay. So my suggestion will be always get the previous salary of the person from the previous employment. As you're collecting CVs, do that analytics. Really provide a proper detailed job description. And I know most entrepreneurs, this is one of the most difficult because today the person is doing that, the other day is doing this. The best way of doing it is to do it this way. So you will have admin in here. Here you will have business development. And here you will have operations. Instead of you having 7 business functions. Does that make sense? You're so quiet. I think this is the most quiet class I've ever had. So under admin, there is IT, there is office admin, which is basically the reception, the diary management, there is HR, there is finance, and there is also legal. Okay? Yeah, kind of. I think I kind of covered it. And then here there's what? Sales, marketing, public relations, and there can be also stakeholder relationship and customer relationship. Okay? And then operation will be a service delivery, product delivery, service delivery, and it will also be research and development. So it's globally enough for you to do a job description only on those 3 areas. Does that make sense? Instead of you trying to narrow it down into, say, you will be a receptionist, and then the person does something else the other day, then there's argument, or who's supposed to do what? You can just put it at a global level on here and say you'll be responsible for this and this and this, and these are the tasks I need to be executed. It limits you having CCMA issues. Those who have the book, I have actually explained on how would you manage this. The lady was asking earlier the question and saying, how do I then allocate my time? Because I'm basically sitting here on operation as technical, and now I have all these other things. The rule is you should only be spending 10% as a director, 30% here, and mainly here, I think about 60%. Because you can 100% outsource this part. Do you see that? This can be fully outsourced. This, some of it, not all, especially customer relationship. Never outsource that. That is yours because that is how you close the relationship between your customer and also you delivering on your services. So, and then this. especially on the first 3 years. That is where you should be striving. I presume at the beginning of the first 6 months of the business, you'll spend most of your time here setting it up. Then later, then move to start selling, because this is about selling and reaching go-to-the-market strategies. And then here, operation, now delivering on what you have actually promised. I hope that helps you. Yes?
I'd just like to share. Hi, I'm Lynn from Creatrix, everyone. Ancient entrepreneur. I had a German lady who was my fake MD, because I couldn't afford her all the time. And she taught me 4 things, and in terms of getting the money and the cash flow, and whether you're a voiceover artist, whether you're an MD, whether you're running an empire. Cost estimate, purchase order, invoice, pay. That's it. It's served me so well. Just however you break it down, what would you say to that? It's just the simple matter of following the paperwork through. So many people get to the point where the accountant isn't paying, then you're on 30 days, then you're on 60 days, then you're on 90 days, then you're on 120 days. But to follow a basic concept of following your own money through that cycle is so good.
Yeah, it's the same thing that I was saying, which was relating to the records management. If you keep your papers, you will be able to cost properly and price correctly, even when you are pricing, because you're now gonna know what really it costed you. Almost closing. Okay, almost done with it. Almost. Okay, I'm gonna just run through some of these questions. I think I have covered. For directors who are also shareholders, if there is a director in your business, you are also a director, and there is potential agreements that are being flawed, it's because you did not agree up front as to what should be the arrangement. We generally leave things until it's too late to deal with them. Deal with the problems before the problem arises. If it's 2 directors or 3 directors, work out what are you gonna do, what role are you gonna play as a director, and if you were to offer that into a market, what price will that be? Is that fair for this business? And if it's not fair, how do we treat it on the book? Are we raising it as a shareholder's loan, or are we then going to convert it as a share capital contribution? Which one is it? Talk about issues openly before the money comes through. As for, and shareholders will only receive money through what? Through dividends. So dividends is after what? After you have paid everyone. Okay, I'm left with 2 more. They say wrap it up. Business model and admin. I hope I have kind of answered it, but what I would like to say is that sometimes we get into business with certain ideas about business. My suggestion will be, read your business model every 3 months, especially if you're just a startup. There's a lot of things that change, and you are still stuck with the old ideas that you came in with. Take it as you re-evaluating if your assumptions are still correct. There's lots of things that changes as you're building up your business. Get rid of a business plan because you will never read it. Focus on looking at your business model and the activities you have to do in the specific areas that I've highlighted, which were 3 areas: admin, business development, and operations. Focus on those. Your aim is to keep yourself productive because that is where you generate the revenue, which is the 60%, but with the aim of making sure that over time you can bring more money to build the resources to do your admin and also our business development. Paying customers. Ooh, that one, I still... So paying customers in South Africa, it's one of the challenging ones. At best, even when you get business to business, they generally give us contract at 12 months. Yet, if I was working for Ernst & Young, they would have given me a 3-year contract. So as entrepreneurs in South Africa in general, I always feel we're underestimated. Your worth is not the same as when you have a business card of a big corporate. It's actually imbalancing. However, there is a way you can actually assert yourself in building that wealth. The way you will do that, you will fulfill all your promises, all of them, in and out. 2, when you start fulfilling your own promises, you start building relationships that are sustainable, where you can then begin to be transparent and say, why are you giving me a contract here 12 months when you already go 3 months or 12 months or whatever case it may be? So always also know what your competitors are doing, so that when you start to position yourself, you position the opposite of what your competitors are doing. Because the only way you will stand out in the market is when you do the opposite of what your customers are doing. And that's the only way you can build up your unique selling proposition. And I hope I've managed to answer your questions. I will take one more. Yes, ma'am.
What is the standard financial breakdown? What is the standard percentage that is expected from a customer to pay 50% or
it varies from one sector to another. For example, in events management company, 50%, that's it. Whereas in professional services, it can actually be as little as 10%. In training, at least 40%. So again, do you understand your industry enough? Can you go to your competitors and look at their website and look at their terms and conditions and start benchmarking yourself, so that when you go and offer to the customer, you're offering the industry norm arrangement, and then you can be able to negotiate when there's a space for you to negotiate. Thank you so much, ladies.